Hey, folks, welcome back to the Pulse. My name is Matt, and this is Crypto Heartbeat. It is 2 o'clock Central Texas time, and we're back. Like I said yesterday, we've got all kinds of interviews coming up this week. And of course, today is no different. We've got DocVince himself, and I'm really excited about sharing with you an amazing person and get you to hear his perspective on Ophir, on life, on Philippines, on all these things. And I think it's really important. I want to be able to communicate to so many that what captured my heart with this story with John and Doc Vince and TJ and all these guys that are involved is their care for people. And of course, I think when you hear from Doc Vince, you're going to hear the heart he has for people and the stories that he has, and it's gonna be really incredible. I love this stuff, and I think it's really important to understand who's behind projects, who are these people, and what are they all about. Because here's what's so cool about decentralized finance. Decentralized finance is this opportunity for regular people to come together in community and unlock value. This concept of Ophir is really about the gold of Ophir. Well, Ophir is used in the scriptures many, many times as this is the place of the gold, the land of this great gold that was used by Solomon. And actually, what's so amazing about this is, there's a lot of evidence that the Philippines is likely the location, which is this land of Ophir that's talked about in the Bible. And that's really cool because if you know anything about the Philippines, there's a lot of gold. But the irony about all of this is how it fits into crypto, because we talk about this all the time. And I really want to share this context with you. And that is all gold is. If you got a pile of gold bars sitting under your desk or on your table, what is it? Is it anything? Is it value? Well, if it's just sitting there, it has no value. And you can't eat it. Doesn't sustain your life in any way. So it's a recognized narrative, and it has some kind of intrinsic properties that we identify, right? Doesn't tarnish, right? It's got some applications. But gold in and of itself is just another narrative. It's probably the longest standing narrative that there is when it comes to value. But it is once again just a story. Because actually, the gold, if you will, when it comes to decentralized finance, is in the hearts of men and women. What do I mean by that? Well, gold is just a representation. It's a proxy. So is paper dollars, right? Fiat currency is just a proxy, meaning a representation of your labor. That's it. So where's the value? The value is actually in your creative ability that you were given by a creator. And you use that in so many different ways. So let's say you drive a truck, you make some certain wage and it goes into your bank account, maybe electronically. And what happens? You might pull some cash out of the ATM and you might go buy yourself a Coca-Cola. Well, what is that paper representative of? It's representative of you. And when you participate in a DeFi contract that's immutable with no admin keys on the blockchain, you're contributing a portion of yourself, a representation of yourself into that. And what's so powerful about decentralized finance is that we can come together in community. And what happens is when we contribute together and we believe together, we unify together, what ends up happening is it unlocks value. And to me, that's the power of decentralized finance. And its effects and its utility and its impact is so well illustrated with OphirCrypto. It has captured my heart. And so today we're going to be talking to Doc Vince. Doc Vince, he's probably, I think he and I are contemporaries. So it's nice to see that there's a fella in the Philippines that's got his head screwed on straight. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm looking forward to spending time with him. Let's say hello to you in the chat, and then we'll bring Doc Vince in and we'll talk about everything Ophir. And I want you to get to know Doc Vince because I think once you know him how I know him, you're going to be like, wow, what a great guy. Somebody has a heart for others. Miss Tatima, what's going on? And Sam Kemp. Number 2, got to get up pretty early to beat Sam Kemp. Excited for the Philippines. Thanks for being here, Sam. I appreciate you. Robert Keller, good afternoon to you. And David Lee, all the way from southwestern Indiana. He is supporting the troops in the field all across the world, especially in the East. He is a big supporter of all those in the Philippines. He's a good guy. He's the guy that came 7.5 hours to my dad's funeral. You talk about sharing the love. David Lee's got the corner on the market. and he's got the hugs. Extravagant taste, afternoon gents. I don't see any ladies yet. Well, we could be lucky this time. We'll see if we are. Hex on air. What's going on? Texas Life and Funk Master Hex. What's going on? Texas Life. Good to see you. Gabriel Gonzalez. Good to see you all. DocVince. The fire in the heart. Absolutely. Got some fans out here. Texas Life. Apple. Good to see you. Apple. She's in the Philippines too, right? Fantastic. On the team. Thanks for being here. It's got to be late. Well, you may not be in the Philippines, but it seems like it's really late in the Philippines right now. Gabriel, what's going on? Let's see who else is here that I haven't said hello to yet. And David Lee, of course, with the love. So, without further ado, let's bring him in. He is the doctor, and he is in. What is up, Doc Vince?
Hey,
How
thanks
are
for
you, man?
having me. I'm
You
doing good.
you bet, man. It's so great that I can talk to you at 2 in the afternoon because you're actually in Texas, right?
Yes, sir. It's 2 in the afternoon here.
Yeah, that's
Mm.
fantastic. It's nice that you're there. You're right. Well, you're a ways away from me, but we're both in the great state of Texas. So, Doc Vince, thanks for coming on and sharing this about Ophir. You know, I'm a big fan of Ophir, and we obviously support you with the technical side, especially.
Mhm.
But I want people to kind of get to know you. Tell me, give us a little background. You're a doctor, right? A surgeon. That's your training.
Yes, sir. Before I'm going to say something about myself, I'm going to give a shout out to those who are here, who are watching. Like, man, I really appreciate you guys for watching. And also to those who are in the Philippines, Gab and Apple. It's 3 in the morning.
Is it? Oh my gosh.
3 in the morning in the Philippines. So a shout out to them. They prepared slides for us. Anyway, just a background, I'm a medical professional in the Philippines, licensed there, but not here in the States.
Okay.
Um, Underwent surgical residency training for a couple of years, and then after that, I found an opportunity working here. That's why I moved here in the States, and I traveled back and forth from here. Started from Chicago, then Florida, then Ohio, finally here in Texas. But I travel back and forth in the Philippines, and every time I go back, we do some medical missions, surgical missions. So that's how I started with my nonprofit work. And most of the time, I guess my exposure was from my mom and dad. When I was in high school, I guess my dad used to do also surgical missions, and my mom as well. So I was exposed to that. We go to different communities and do that thing wherein they would see patients and I'm the one preparing all of those stuff like the paperworks or what. So that's how we started with involvement with the community.
Wow. Well, that's awesome. And so you've seen things a lot over the years. I mean, if you're a surgeon, I've got some buddies who are surgeons, and I just, when I talk to them, they act like it's no big deal. And I'm like, well, I'm talking about crypto and you're saving lives. What's it like? I mean, how is the medical profession different in the Philippines than here in the States?
Wow, how is it different? I guess people here in the States are so lucky because they have all the advancement in technology, and especially with the doctors here. Unlike there in the Philippines, though we are advanced in terms of knowledge because we do attend seminars and all of those stuff, but it takes a couple of while before the tech would go there. So there's the should I say the intellect, the knowledge is there, but the equipment's it's kind of late. And I think nowadays it starts to progress. The only problem is the far-flung areas or those communities which really needs help. And those are like I have one should I say experience wherein this community uh, only sees one healthcare worker once a month. And I said, okay, what is he, a doctor, a nurse, or what? And it was just a not just but rather it was a midwife,
Wow.
only once a month by a midwife. So when we went there, this is I'm not exaggerating, we have to take a 4x4 pickup truck, go in there, have to cross seven rivers, and then and before we arrived, you could actually see like a ravine and a big mountain there. And then I remembered saying, them saying, "Oh, doc, we are so happy that you were here," and they literally don't have anything, so we have to bring all the medical supplies.
Mm,
And what was kind of interesting, because the day before we arrived, there was a war between the government and the rebel. So we passed by an ambush area, and this guide showed me, "Hey, doc, that's where the should I say the landmine was. It exploded yesterday. That's where the ambush was." Oh, interesting. So there's a dichotomy between um, areas wherein the city, the urbanized, have good practices, good doctors, because that's where the doctor would, uh, are being saturated. But in far-flung areas, they are the ones that really, really need help. And we do have doctors that I salute them for being there, but they really need a lot of help.
yeah. Yeah. That makes a ton of sense. And, one of the things I think people don't realize, I think I was looking up online that there's like 4,700 islands that make up the Philippines. Is that close to correct?
1,700.
1,700. Okay.
Mhm.
So there's a lot of islands, and
Right.
people don't, I don't think, recognize the fact that, you know, that's a significant challenge to anyone.
Yes,
Um,
sir.
well, let's transition to now you've been in crypto for quite some time, and I want to kind of talk about your background in crypto, but then also talk about how you met John. So if you don't
Hmm.
mind, tell us the backstory in crypto, and then let's go into how you found out about this and how you connected with John.
Yeah, 2016, I started crypto. And I think, if I remembered it right, Bitcoin was somewhere 200 or $400. Ethereum was 20. Litecoin was $1. So that, and then somebody invited me for this kind of coin, and I said, okay, why not? Let's just try it. So I invested it on crypto, bought some Bitcoins, Litecoins, Ethereum. I mean, I had a good amount of crypto during that time, and all was lost because of this high yield investment programs.
Yeah.
I put it in there, and then after those 3 4 months, they would take all your crypto. Suddenly, you cannot hear anything from them, and that's it. It's all gone. Now, going back for a couple of years, like, I was frustrated, but I do believe on the technology behind, which is blockchain. So that's where I put my focus in, because I don't want to. Sometimes they say crypto is scam. I said, before I could say it's a scam, I would rather look at the background, the big B, which is the blockchain,
Yeah.
and that's where I focused my time. I got a friend of mine who invited me on one of a blockchain group organization, Altash Blockchain. So I was able to find my love, because I see where the concept of the decentralization, wherein there's no single point of error, you have immutability, you have security. Those were the times like, oh, cryptography. I thought that something like, out of this world. And that's how I figured out I see and I saw the value of blockchain. Then, after a couple of months, we did have several projects in the Philippines using the blockchain, digital medical certificates, so that doctors won't, you know all their certificates are authenticated, so that there won't be false documents just going around. We have, should I say, birth certificates, birth registry. So we tried to communicate this with the government, and during that time, it needs a lot of legislation, because if we try to put this in the system, we're going to talk to the legislators. So that's kind of my thing in the blockchain space. Then you have COVID.
Yeah.
COVID came, and I shifted my focus. On top of the blockchain, I went into talking about the problem. I don't know if I could say this, but the problem with COVID, the way we see it. And then we have a good friend. He just reached out, and initially it was about COVID. So we talked about that, and then later on, he approached me with the concept of Ophir, and that's John Blaylock. And for me, it's like okay, because like here's a good-looking dude, and then maybe I'm not sure about him, so let me do my homework and did some background check. So John, if you're watching, I did in, intelligence recon.
Good. Good. Good
Because
idea.
I mean, there's a lot of people out there
Yeah.
who just message you in Telegram, message you, and even in LinkedIn, they have those profiles that you think they're credible people, and suddenly it's like, oh my goodness, you'll find out later that it's otherwise. So with him, I did my homework, and I found the heart of John really on helping a lot of people. But it took time. It really took time. Like I think a year or so, or several months, because it was like, okay, where does Ophir fit in for the Filipino people?
Yeah.
Should be this group, or should be this group, or what? And then we just hit when we've I think, decided or talked more about helping the churches, grassroots churches. So that's how I really got involved with Ophir and John himself. I mean, I saw the heart of servitude, love for the people, and especially the heart of serving God. And that's where I give my hats off him, and then said, okay, I think this is not just man, but I think the Spirit is moving, God's will. So that's it.
Wow. That's awesome. That's awesome, Doctor. One of the things I recognized in John was an advocate for the truth and for
Mhm.
people. And, I connected with him outside of crypto on a different topic. And I was just so compelled because, one of the things they talk about in church planting is you find the person of peace. And John is a person of peace and someone who cares deeply for the truth. And I saw an advocate in him. And, it's amazing, the relationship that I've built with John, but also just his tireless effort. And I see the way he interacts with people when he's, goes into churches and visits with people, and you can just see it. It's genuine. But there's also some caution. You said, hey, I want to make sure, because here's the thing. It's not easy to tell churches that you want to help them with crypto, because haven't there been a number of things that have come in to the Philippines and scammed people that were a part of kind of the church network?
That's so true. There's a lot of churches being scammed by different organizations. One I remembered one coin. I guess that's from Bulgaria. They use cryptocurrency as a network marketing, wherein you have to
Yeah.
sign up for 25,000 pesos. That's somewhere around what, $500, if my math is correct. But and then after that, when you sign up, you have to recruit people. So they do a Ponzi network marketing thing. And then after that, a couple of years, you cannot even see where the leaders are. They're all gone with
Yeah.
your 25, whatever you invested in or you put your money in. And they said they'll give you a token, but later it doesn't have any value.
Yeah.
That's one. And several more. And what's the problem? The main problem is they would go to these organizations, either nonprofit or churches, offering these things, and most of the time they get victimized.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's why this is it's challenging. But one of the things I think that I was inspired with John and what you guys are doing now is the fact that um, you have this partnership with Gem Effect. Can you talk to me about how you feel about, Pastor Roy and Gem Effect? Because we're going to have both John and Pastor Roy on tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Central. That's going to be exciting, folks. You want
Oh,
to tune into that. But will you
nice.
tell me, what do you think of, you obviously know Gem Effect, Pastor Roy. Why is that special relationship, especially with all the donations that are going directly to them?
General Mariano Alvarez, Gemma, Fellowship of Evangelical Churches, Christian Churches, Gemma. Actually, I have before this Ophir thing. Um, oh, okay, yeah. Before that, I have no relations with Pastor. I haven't heard it. Even the organization. For me, that was the first time I heard about gem effect. I have to be truthful with this. And then I did, and then we had John talking about gem effect. So okay, we did some research. I did some research, but I would rather talk to the person themselves.
Yeah.
That's how I am. So I was able to interview Pastor Roy. I did have that show, and I saw this man's heart, and we clicked. His heart serving the church. He left his like profession, which is if he comes here, his family would be in a good situation. But he left all of those serving the church, serving God's people. That's one thing. And then I saw his heart, not just in going to those big churches, but really helping the grassroots churches. And his history, when John said during the pandemic, when he served a lot of people, healing them spiritually, but on top of that, physically, because he has a background in health. So that's where it's like, okay, I've seen where we have a
Yeah.
meeting of the minds.
Yeah.
And I saw that after that, I saw his heart, and I look at the activities that they're doing. I said, man, I think this is one of the churches that we would really help,
Yeah.
that they need that help. So I mean, 100% after that, I'm good. I'm sold.
Yeah. Yeah. I totally agree. And, I think one of the things that a lot of viewers may not be aware of is that we talk about the Philippines as this singular thing, but like you said, 1,700 or how many ever islands, and there's a lot of people that are remotely located. One of the things I've always been fascinated about is that no matter where you go on planet Earth, there may not be a grocery store, there may not be a post office, but there is a local church. And
Mhm.
when you think about remote grassroots churches, they're serving the needs of people across the board. It's not just, hey, what you think of potentially in the West, viewers might think that, well, this is a place you go. No, no, this is a core of the community that's serving so many more things than just spiritual needs. I mean, there's a lot more that goes into that. Will you kind of characterize what is it like when it comes to these remote areas where in some cases the church is the core service of the community? There's no like safety net, right? It's the church. Tell us about that. How is that different than what people see in the West?
Let me do this. For Gem Effect, the place where Gem Effect is, it's a relocation area. That's where most of the, should I, shanties in the urban places, or those who they are moved to that place. So you have all the urban poor just being cramped up on one place. So you don't expect somebody's like rich or what, because that's basically where the lower income group is. So that's one. So it's a relocation area, and that's where Gem Effect is serving. That's where the people, his main church, are. And I saw the pictures, like those churches, like they're small, like 100. Some of them they don't even have walls.
Yeah.
And here in the West, people would complain if there's no AC.
Right. Right.
Well, like for an hour of service that doesn't have AC, you would see like people like are
Yep.
very uneasy. But there, it's like in that situation, you could see church members still celebrating the Word of God, and that's where Gem Effect is, grassroots churches where people don't have all the amenities in life, and we have other church members who would even have their services on their own homes,
Yeah.
So I mean, that way different from what
Yeah.
we have here in the Western world.
Well, one of the things I want people to understand about this project, and we're going to go deep into the project. You've got some things prepared, But let me share with folks how I see this in the Philippines and GemEffect. I've done fundraising work, DocVince, for 22 years, 23 years. And, when I think about the effectiveness of resourcing people that are challenged, right? That are serving, these type of folks who are in, potentially many in poverty, but going out and meeting with the people and serving the people, that so many times organizations, especially these kind of global organizations, have a tremendous amount of overhead. And I always have been interested in what is the impact in this future with communication like YouTube and other things in crypto in direct aid. And so there's a lot of, academic thoughts on how you give in direct aid. One of the things I appeal to people that are in crypto that see this project, everybody wants to talk about utility. You know that, Doc Vance. Everybody's like, what's your utility? Folks,
Hmm.
this is one of the greatest utilities that exists. And this is serving not just the spiritual needs, but the physical needs of people. And, one of the things I think there are a lot of people with big hearts, right? But they can't travel to the Philippines and they can't go out into remote areas and serve. But there are those who are sacrificing, their comfort to be able to do those things. And to me, this donation phase with Ophir Crypto, a lot of the crypto people are just like, well, how do I get token, right? Like, do I give to this nonprofit? Well, yeah, you give directly to a nonprofit. That's how we do token distribution. But I think what's more importantly is this is going direct. And so when it goes direct and it doesn't get, filtered through some NGO or some large organization that has overhead, you're giving as close to direct as you can.
Hmm.
And, many people would do that without anything, right? No tokens, no nothing. They're like, hold on, there are needs here. This is an effective means by which um, you can give. And so tomorrow, when we talk to Pastor Roy and to John, we're going to be talking about the needs that are literally right in front of them.
Hmm.
And I feel like there's so many people, Doc Vince, and you've seen this, especially in our community, who are extremely generous people. And many of them are like, I would give because there's needs, not because I get crypto. And that's one of the things I think is so great about this is that these donation phases, go directly, 100% goes directly to the nonprofit organization and to serve people. But in this case, it's about as direct as you can get. And that's one of the big appeals that I have to folks. Do you have any comments about that, Doc Vince?
Goes directly to the church,
Yeah.
and it has a really big life-changing effect, not just for the church, but the church members.
Yeah.
And we do have some, prepared, photos that we could share later on how you could see the church before, how they work out of love on even these circumstances. And if we are able to donate to this would really alleviate the church's way of spreading the word.
Yep. And then here's what's cool, folks. Yeah, and what's I think so great about this project is the fact that you guys have decided to give an endowment to these churches. And when we say an endowment, this is in a stake, the 22-year stake, which anyone that's been in crypto that understands the cycles like you and I know is that if you hand poor people cash, they'll spend it. But when you think about staked crypto and the fact that it's pushed way out into the future, the scraping mechanism of the contract, this endowment contract, is such a beautiful thing because this is what everyone in the nonprofit space wants. They want sustainability and cash flow from something that appreciates. And so as we get into this next bull run, I'm so excited about these churches having this gift that you gave long, years before, that ends up being something that can create some sustainable cash flow from them years down the road. How do you feel about that? Because I think that's a wonderful way to approach it.
100%, Matt, 100%. Because before, every time we go in, I'm not involved with Ophir or what, but rather on my other NGO projects. The word is always sustainability.
Yep.
We don't just give away and then leave it there, because everything will be gone if it's not handled properly. And
Yep.
what's the best thing to have that sustainability? having this staking thing, and
Yeah.
all the yields monthly, and that will be what it will be if it's handled correctly. That will be there in perpetuity.
Yeah.
Them having every month from the yield or the scrapes that would help the community itself. I
Yeah.
mean, that's where I guess that's perfect in
Yeah.
terms of serving, helping the community.
You know what? One of my dreams for this project is, DocVince, is that there would be in the future opportunities where we could check on maybe a Gem Effect website,
Mhm.
or talk to people and literally say, here are pastors from these churches across the Philippines who say, hey, I've got a family that would be so blessed, and you could give, like, somebody, like, I could give $100 stake, right? $100 USD to me, no big deal. This is a family that needs it. I trust the pastors and I trust the people in the Philippines, and I'm going to give this stake to that family. So
Mhm.
literally directly being able to give to the families. And what that does for those local churches is when those pastors say, hey, because of Gem Effect and because of Ophir, there are people across the world who love you, who want to give to you, and they're going to give you an endowment for your family. And that's the kind of stuff I hope comes out of this, DocVince, is that it's just the beginning of the generosity that goes to the churches, but it ultimately finds its way into these places. But if in fact, and there's no financial advice, no, I don't know the future, no one does, but I'm going to tell you, when I saw what happened to the people in Hex, it was amazing. I talked to Balliot Brand, and he said, Matt, when $100 turns into a million, I'm like, what are
Mhm.
you talking about? And he's like, that's what Hex did. That's a 10,000X. So imagine the scenario. So I want you to give me your honest opinion of this. Let's say someone, and of course, this, Hex was, very bottom wick all the way up to, 10,000X is a bit of an exaggeration. But what if, let's just cut it back. Let's say $100 gift was made, and a family, let's say a family received a gift, or they scraped together $100 USD, and they staked it. And let's say that 100,000, I'm sorry, that $100 turned into $100,000. What's the impact of a family having $100,000 in the Philippines?
Oh, I just can't imagine. I just can't imagine. It's so big. It's like I said, it's a um, life changing money for them, because it could go a long, long way. And some like $100,000 that could be a, a generational wealth for
Yeah.
some of the poor.
Isn't that interesting too? Because I don't think a lot of people understand the difference in the living conditions as well as cost basis in the Philippines for people who are living. You know, what is that? What is your sense of that for people that are in remote areas? I know the city's different, but how different is it than in the states?
Let me see, $10 a day or less.
Wow,
Would you survive on that?
$10 a day.
Mm.
Well, and that's the thing I think is, so for people like in the Compassion Cartel, the people who care about giving, to think that, I mean, and I'm not even using the 10,000X, but the idea that crypto in its decentralized form, where people are coming together in community, could unlock this kind of value, it would be transformative for a group of people. And that's honestly why we desire to tokenize communities, because I want to give people the opportunity. There's no guarantees. There's no guarantees that these things will happen, but I saw it happen when a community of people came together in this Hexican community. And could we come alongside a group and say, hey, we've seen this before. We pray and hope that it will happen to you as well. But it only does if people take ownership of it themselves. And that's DeFi, right? There's no centralized organization, there's no marketing program. There's just, hey, we did some software development, and there's some people like you and John and TJ and others who care. And so, do you mind sharing what you've prepared to share with people about Ophir?
Oh, yes, sir. 100%. We have here a photo of our beneficiaries. And sorry about that. I'm having problems with my mouse. It needs a new battery.
No problem. I can advance it if you want.
No, I'm good. I'm good. So, Here, this is one of the pastors there, Jesus Christ, God with Us Ministry. As you can see, uh, her church is just a hollow blocks, not finished. It's just a wall, and then on the other side, it's open. Now, from what I heard, I guess she's already retired, and she got her pension. So most of the time, she would use it for the church activities, and she would even accept their tithes in terms of fruits.
Hmm.
Those are her tithes
Wow.
for the church. Um, that's
So,
so
so you're,
true.
you're so you're saying so I want to make sure people heard you. So you're saying the ties that people bring are actually, what they have.
What they have, sir. Yeah.
Yeah, so like fruits and items versus, dollars and money. So think about that. That's literally first fruits.
Mm. Say, I yes, that's so true. Whatever they have, they
Wow.
offer.
Wow.
And here, Pastor Ronilio, if I had it right, he was able to have his house church, and that's one of those relocation areas that I did mention. It's a low cost house that he was able to get, and he used it for his ministry. And then he does like a feeding program for the kids, and during the pandemic, I guess he had a stroke, or so half of his body is paralyzed. But despite of that, he's still helping out people. So you see here, like pastors having really have a heart of gold,
Yeah.
helping a lot of spread a lot of people spreading the word. Here at Ignite Church, you can see us bare as the church is, purely hollow blocks. That's it. You have metal roofing, and then you can see the kids. But rather, from what I heard is that there's only one wall and the rest it's open.
Wow.
And if you try to compare that on what we have here in the West, uh, you would see the board of directors complaining that the church should have a wall, it should be finished. There's no service that can be done if that wall is not done. But
Yeah.
that's how it is. That's how it is back there,
I
right?
just love it. I love the fact that she has a unifier logo on her shirt. It
Ah,
looks a lot like the unifier logo. It's funny. Well, keep going. Keep going. This is awesome.
here, Pastora. Let me see her name if I got it right. But I have problems with my.
It's all right.
Anyway,
Sakat, is that her?
Sikat, yeah,
SICAT?
Pastora Sikat. That's
Yep.
how they pronounce it. Despite her age, she was the one who has an e-bike. During the pandemic, she would bring goods to different, church members. She's already retired. She's
Mm,
supposed to be, on her, you know, sitting down or what, taking a rest because he's a senior. She's a senior rather,
yeah.
and she's still doing this for the church. And she would even go to far-flung areas wherein, um, should I say, areas it would take time going there just to serve the community, mostly forested areas, if I got it right. But she would even go there. Now, I've heard she's using her pension coming from what she got on her retirement, and she uses that to serve the church if the church doesn't have much. So use for feeding program or just to have this house church community service. And you can see that house down below. That's where she's literally sharing the word, preaching. That's a house church. So you see how bare bones that
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
But I mean, these are the people that has really the heart to serve. And if we could help them out in terms of whatever that we can, they would be able to spread the word of God. And that's what I'm really excited with this project of Ophir. And these are the different community activities where you have kids. And by the way, I remember with Pastora, he would even do some programs for the street children. and that's how it is. You got the community activities here, basically for kids, a learning program, education program, feeding program. And during that time, we had that seed faith where our founder, John, was there helping out the different churches so that they would be able to purchase cement and other, uh, should I say, building materials that would really help the church. So it's right there. That's the cement box. You have the motorcycle. It's like a tuk tuk in Thailand or
Yeah,
tuk tuk. Yep. So that's where some seed faith donation went. And one of the activities is there we were able to gather over 200 church leaders, 200 church leaders who are 100% in terms of the Ophir project.
that's
So
huge.
it's huge, and we were there supporting them, trying to educate what the program is, and uh, on ramping. So I mean, it's kind
It's
of mind blowing.
what's amazing about it is, I talked to John, and then you see the photos like this. Folks, what you think of as the church in the West is not what it is in the Philippines. And I think that when you see, we take for granted, most people that we consider poor in the States have $1,000 iPhone, right? And smoke cigarettes, right? Those are the folks who we consider to be poor here. And not to say there aren't poor, there's all kinds of issues that we have locally. But when I look at things like this and I think about people who care about, you know, people that are, let's say, in poverty, and I look at those kids, right? And I think about my own kids, and I just imagine, what is it that, there are places that because of this extraction model, right? Because of this world and people that are essentially extracting. And here we have this thing like DeFi. And I've always been a big fan of teaching someone to fish rather than giving them a fish. And
Mhm.
what gets me so excited about decentralized crypto is the fact that if done correctly and people taking ownership, is that this is a means by which we can unlock abundance. And this calling that I've had that this fits so well into is unlocking generosity. How do you unlock generosity? Well, it's already happening there because you see this woman who's riding her e-bike. She's using her own pension to give food and to provide for people. A lot of these things are basic needs. And so whether you're someone who is, cares about the gospel, for example, these are the basic needs of people. And so when I look at this, you know, it's not just, hey, donate to Ophir and get some token. Although it is that, it's more of saying, hey, when John and DocVince and TJ and others go into these communities, they're saying to them, hey, we're going to give you an endowment. It's a staked endowment. It's not just liquid. They're not dumping it on the market. And I've had a number of people kind of challenge us on this. I'm like, we're not giving away liquid token to people to dump on the market. What we're saying to them is we want to bring you along with us in this miracle called decentralized finance. And so to me, we've got Texan token, and that's a political movement. This is about as philanthropic of a movement as you can possibly be in. And the fact of the matter is that there are people across the Philippines who surprisingly know about crypto because Axie Infinity started there. And that's one of the things that's amazing that people don't realize is that there's actually, you might not think the older people, but a lot of the younger people really understand that, hold on, this Axie Infinity thing changed the game because people were making money, more money than they could daily, playing a game. And I think about how crypto could transform things if it was done right. And the fact that you get 200 people, 200 leaders coming out, and GemEffect serving 3,000 to 5,000 churches, and then there are other church networks who are hearing this that could impact upwards of thousands more. That to me is exciting, and we're just at the beginning, and we're at the bottom of the bear market. I want as many people as possible to have the kind of stories of life transformation that I saw from OG Hexicans. I want to see those folks, having that same, because you know what I think? I think they'll be more generous to their fellow men in the Philippines than any of us would be here in the West.
Yes, sir.
It's incredible, dude. It's incredible. So, is there anything more you want to share on this slide deck?
Let me see if we do have more. Yes, we do have online activities. Because one thing that we, uh, should I say, we want the no coiners to be part of this is by educating them, and the best way of educating them is through games. So we have this Ophir night, game night, and those who would we would have some kind of a Jeopardy kind of activity, and those who are there, we would let them get a wallet or start a wallet, and after that, whoever answers the question correctly, they will have their Ophir tokens, the ones that um, that we currently have, but not the real one. And after the launch, then that's the time we would
The
be able to do the
airdrop program.
airdrops.
Yeah.
But that itself, for them to be educated and knowing how the process is, so we do this stuff so that they will be acclimated, if I had the right term, educated on just starting out how to get a wallet and how to receive an Ophir, how to transfer, and all of those stuff. So we have those kinds of activities. We just started it, and then the other one is we will be having some kind of um, amateur singing contest.
Nice.
There'll be an amateur singing contest, two participants per church, and we will be hearing them. It will be a pre-recorded, and the votation will be biosphere. So those who would vote should have their MetaMask wallet, and they would transfer airdrops of Ophir to whoever they think is the best singer, and the winner also will get Ophir. So we
That's
are trying to push that adoption there in the
yeah.
community.
Well,
Uh,
that's awesome. You have programs for education as well. That's fantastic.
And we're building an app for the education itself. So we do have those videos. I remember having Coinbase before, wherein you learn to earn. So you start knowing about the project, and then after that you get a token, and that's what the approach is for our should I say, beneficiaries, so that they would be able to learn more about the background history of crypto 101, scams, and all of the stuff. Because the goal here is not just, giving those blessings, but also prevent them from being scammed,
Yeah.
because that's the big problem. And we do have an upcoming event where we're expecting at least 300 church leaders come this 17. That will be Saturday, 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. Philippine time. So for here, I guess that's 9 p.m.
Okay.
until 12 midnight. And it's a summit, Unlocking Abundance to Empower Grassroots Churches. So we
Fantastic.
have lots of activities, bro.
Yeah, truly, truly. That's fantastic. Well, if you guys want to know more about Ophir Crypto, obviously you can go to OphirCrypto.com. That's where you're going to be able to read the white paper. We're going to take a look at that here and before we wrap things up. But DocVince, it's great to have this kind of resource and to see what you're doing there on the ground. But just like we've said with Text and Token, we're like, this isn't for everybody, right? And I've had many people say, hey, I don't really care about political things. Well, this is something as we tokenize communities, we're looking for communities that have infrastructure. And that's what the local church is. One of the largest organizations on the planet. And the fact of the matter is, this is such a great distribution model when it comes to serving people and helping them really have, teach them to fish, if you will. And so, we have a lot of hopes and dreams about how we can help and serve, but we also understand that this is a decentralized project. And, those that are in these churches, we're planting seeds now because we're still in the donation phase. And so what I'd like to do now, DocVince, is I'd like to actually jump into the contract
Mhm.
and talk a little bit about Ophir itself. So Ophir Crypto, you can go to OphirCrypto.com. And at the very top of the page in the middle is a pink button and it says donate. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually go there. And I want you to be able to see this detail. So the donation phase is going to be open until July 4th. Okay. So we're in the last month of this, last 3 weeks of this. And so you'll see the options to be able to donate directly to GemEffect, which is a nonprofit organization in the Philippines. They're accepting USDC, USDT, Ethereum, Hex, SLP, and Texan. And so the Ethereum address is here on that page, and you'll see the details, right? You'll see the fact that there's loyalty points, 10,000 to 1, which is very common. And then you'll also see that if you go into the About section here, there is a referral program. And so if you do want to connect your wallet and get a referral program, there's referrals that when you do refer, you'll receive 5%, and so will the referrer. And so that's something important to note. But I think the most important thing that I walk through is that if you know anything about the Texan token, this is the same tokenomics. And so in the white paper, what you'll find is we're essentially utilizing this core contract, this endowment contract on the blockchain, and it has a yield curve. What is this all about? It's about people being able to come together in community where there's existing trust and relationships within the local churches in the Philippines, and be able to utilize this immutable contract on the blockchain with no admin keys to be able to unlock value within their community. And DocVince, one of the things that I always say about Hex is, I think a lot of people think, well, there's got to be so many people that have to get involved. There's only really about 250,000 unique people who are in Hex, and there's billions of dollars of value. And of course, the liquidity, especially at the top of the bull market, was 20 plus million, which can serve so many people. If that same kind of thing can happen for communities across the world, this is a way that, communities of trust can unlock value together without any centralized authority. And is essentially, I think it delivers like hope to people that, hey, if we work together, not if we promote, not if DocVince promotes, not if John promotes, if they take and they understand that this is something that, hey, we put it out there. If you want to take advantage of it, you can. And what we're hoping to do is to do the very thing that John is called, and he's called the fire starter. And John is lighting the fires. And so they're doing everything that they can to encourage. And I just want to, let you folks know that donation phase is open until July 4th. And, from there's likely going to be some announcements after that are going to be some bonus type of things. So anything you wanted to share about, how you feel about the endowment contract, or how the tokenomics of Ophir work?
I I love the tokenomics everything because this definitely would help the churches in terms of sustainability. That's where I'm really at.
Yeah.
If a project that would help sustain them, it's not just a one thing. And like you said, the fish thing, wherein you don't just give them fish, but rather you teach them how to fish.
Yeah.
And that's where the tokenomics is.
Absolutely. Well, what I'm excited about too, Danny the Singer's here. He is not only an awesome supporter of the entire Pulse Chain ecosystem, Hex, Texan, but Danny's also the host because he and his wife have created a foundation called the Right Hand Foundation. And they are the ones that are hosting us, including you, at Gen Con 2023, which is coming up on Saturday the 24th. There's still a few tickets left for that. If you want to come, this is going to be a conference all day on Saturday, hosted by the Right Hand Foundation. I'll be there. DocVince will be there. And John is flying in from the Philippines. And so if you're coming to that, you're going to get a chance to meet both DocVince and John Blaylock, which is going to be a huge treat for people that are there. So special thanks to Danny, but you can check that out. We will also be having a meetup. So if you go to gencon2023.com, there's a meetup in Houston, in the southeast part of Houston. And so if you're in that Houston area or Austin or whatever, and you can drive in, this is everyone. Pulse Chain, all projects, Texan, Hex. It's a meetup. There are tickets that you'll need to get. I think you can find those at the bottom of the page on Gen Con 2023. But that is the Friday night before. The 23rd will be the meetup, and then the 24th will be the Generosity Conference, and that's going to be really exciting. And I'm really looking forward to seeing you there, DocVince.
I'm 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 looking forward to that. I talked to John and Forrest. Then you have Danny. I said, John, I think we should prepare something so that we'll have a jam session between you guys because all of you are musicians.
Yep.
I'll be expecting something there, jamming around.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. I'm sure there will be. Danny, you can't meet with Danny without getting a song or two, which is such a blessing. If you've seen some of those streams with Danny, it's a riot and so fun. He is such a fun person to be around. But I look forward to seeing you there. Anything else you want to kind of share, or any thoughts you want to share with folks? How do people find you on the interwebs?
Looking forward to meeting you there, Matt. And let me see, just my Twitter, and from there you can see me, DocVince.
Okay.
I used to have my YouTube channel, but it was taken out for some reasons.
So DocVince had a crypto
Sorry.
YouTube channel that had 10,000 subs, and he got that taken away. We won't go into the details there, but you
Yeah.
can find him at I believe it's DocVince V, and I
That
think I
you
put
can
it
find
in
my Twitter, DocVinceV. That's
yeah.
my Twitter handle. I have my LinkedIn account as well.
Okay.
Dr. Vincent
And you
Visante, MD.
okay.
So if you want to reach me there, I'll be able to
Awesome.
reply back.
Fantastic. Well, DocVince is this is in the description, as well as you can find him on the team page of OphirCrypto as well. Everyone is doxed. And I just got word, DocVince, that the first round of the Ophir contract audit is complete. And so we're doing the follow-up. So we should have the full audit from CertIC that will be delivered here momentarily. That's really exciting. Not much has changed, obviously, but there's commentary there, and so we'll get the certification from CertIC shortly. And then we're going to be launching on the Pulse chain, and so that will be the first that we launch on the Pulse chain. And we will be on an additional chain. We just haven't decided if it's going to be Ethereum or Binance Smart Chain, because a lot of people over in the Philippines are very much more used to be a BSC than they are to Ethereum, and so. It's been great visiting with you, DocVince. Thanks so much for all that you do and you being on the team there at Ophir.
Thank you, sir. I'm really humbled, and thanks for this opportunity to share Ophir in your podcast or show.
Yeah, you bet. And so, folks, visit OphirCrypto.com to find out more. But look forward also to tomorrow, because you're going to get to see John and Chairman Roy, who is he's the one who's leading all of these churches and coordinating and serving. And he is an amazing man of God, and he is a servant. And you're going to get to hear from him and John tomorrow at 9 a.m. Central Time. We'll have them on. So really looking forward to that as well. DocVince, thank you once again for being on the Pulse today, and we will see you soon, man. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
You bet. All right, folks. Once again, that's DocVince. Here's the thing that's really cool. I get a chance to talk to these folks all the time, and when I get together with their whole team, and it's a big team. You see the main leaders, right? You've got DocVince, you've got John, obviously the founder. You got TJ, you've got others. I mean, David Lee, goodness, he's on the Texan team, and he serves and helps train and coach the people that are within that Telegram community. t.me/OphirCrypto. You can find out more, and you can jump into that chat if you've got questions. But folks, this is it. This is where the rubber meets the road, is that finding, folks who really want to change their circumstances, and we in crypto can come alongside and help them do that. And so I hope that you will consider supporting and donating to GemEffect, whether or not there's crypto involved. It's a very, very compelling case. And you're going to hear a story tomorrow that I think is going to knock your socks off from John and from Chairman Roy. And I'm just really, really excited about that. David Lee put the link up there to the Telegram, so you can check it out at Ophir Crypto, and that's on Telegram as well. Thanks for joining the Pulse today, folks. Do not mess with Ophir. Take care, everybody.